The galaxy had grown quiet in its arrogance, an endless expanse where alien fleets assumed dominion and humanity was relegated to whispers in strategic reports. They laughed at the human colonies, at the small, ragged fleets scuttling between star systems like frightened fireflies. Calculations, algorithms, and histories suggested humans were insignificant, predictable, and fragile. The cosmos itself seemed to nod in agreement, yet, in the quiet corners of human space, staryards hummed with activity unseen by the galaxy at large. Ships of every shape and purpose were repaired, upgraded, and hidden in shadows, fueled by a stubborn will that no calculation could contain. Engineers, tacticians, and pilots moved in perfect synchrony, not because the rules demanded it, but because humanity had learned that patience, ingenuity, and courage were more potent than numbers alone. The first contact was subtle, a flicker on distant sensors, easily dismissed as cosmic anomaly. Yet each flicker carried a heartbeat, each pulse a warning. Humanity had learned to listen to the silence between signals, to read the space between stars. And in that listening, they discovered that the true measure of a fleet was not firepower or technology, but the depth of the resolve that commanded it. The alien commanders continued their derision, confident that the humans would retreat or surrender. As always, their ships, enormous and gleaming, moved in rigid formations, calculations precise, engines humming with overconfidence. They did not see the humans learning, adapting, preparing in ways the invaders could not anticipate. The cosmos, vast and indifferent, seemed to lean forward in anticipation. Then, without warning, the silence shattered. The fleet emerged from hidden star systems, not a trickle but a surge, a human armada of every conceivable design, from nimble fighters to colossal carriers, all moving with a singular intent. Lights flickered across the void as thrusters ignited in unison, each ship a testament to human innovation and coordination. The alien commanders stared, disbelief etching their features, as patterns formed that no algorithm could predict. Engagement was swift, brutal, and precise. Human ships wove through space like living entities, anticipating enemy maneuvers, countering strikes before they arrived, and exploiting weaknesses with surgical precision. Torpedoes, energy beams, and missile swarms became instruments of human ingenuity rather than brute force. Every move reflected not only training but foresight, intuition, and the moral clarity to strike decisively when hesitation could mean disaster. In quieter moments, between volleys of energy and explosions of shattered ships, human crews reflected on the stakes. They were not mere soldiers. They were the embodiment of a species that refused to bow, that refused to cower under derision, that had mastered both intellect and courage. Every calculation was tempered with judgment, every action informed by experience, every decision a statement that humanity would not be ignored. The alien fleet, vast and arrogant, faltered under the unexpected clarity of human resolve. Formations broke, engines flared, and communication lines fell silent. Their sophisticated calculations could not predict the audacity, creativity, and sheer daring that the human fleet brought to bear. Humanity's triumph was not just tactical, it was existential, a proof that intelligence, courage, and moral depth could outmatch raw numbers and technological arrogance. As the dust of battle settled, the stars themselves seemed to sigh, reflecting the glow of victories hard won. Human ships drifted through the debris, engines humming softly, crews surveying the aftermath not with glee, but with solemn understanding. They had not simply survived, they had asserted the undeniable truth of their species, and as distant suns rose over shattered fleets and quiet systems, a single line echoed across human and alien alike, and so, the galaxy learned not to underestimate the patience, cunning, and courage of humanity. The silence that followed the first wave of combat was deceptive, carrying with it a tension thicker than the void between stars. Human captains and crews moved with disciplined calm, repairing minor damage, recalibrating weapons, and sharing brief, precise signals that carried more meaning than pages of orders ever could. Every human vessel, from the smallest scout to the largest carrier, pulsed with an almost instinctive coordination, a choreography forged in months of hidden preparation and relentless training. Across the void, alien commanders struggled to comprehend what they saw. Their calculations predicted panic, disarray, and retreat, but what they witnessed was neither. It was anticipation, ingenuity, and the sort of daring that defied logic. Each human ship exploited the slightest flaw in formation, the tiniest lapse in sensor coverage, turning disadvantage into opportunity with fluid precision. In quieter corners of the fleet, crews reflected on the audacity that had brought them here. Pilots checked each system with meticulous care, engineers fine-tuned shields and engines under the pressure of urgency, and strategists recalculated trajectories and target priorities in real time. These moments of preparation, silent and intense, carried the weight of generations, a reminder that human courage was as much mental as it was physical. Enemy fire came in waves, calculated and relentless, yet it met resistance that no algorithm could predict. Torpedoes were intercepted, beams were diverted, and evasive maneuvers executed with a grace that suggested intuition rather than orders. Each action was a statement: humans would not yield, and ingenuity would always find a way when raw power alone failed. As the alien fleet faltered, human communications buzzed with quiet coordination. Signals passed in seconds what others would take minutes to convey, and crews adapted faster than the enemy could react. The battlefield was no longer one of simple offense and defense, it was a dynamic testament to intellect, anticipation, and moral resolve, a living proof that humanity could turn every constraint into a weapon. By the time the first tendrils of sunlight pierced distant nebulae, the alien forces had begun to retreat, disoriented and broken. The human fleet, despite fatigue and damage, remained cohesive, triumphant not merely in victory but in the demonstration of what unbroken resolve and coordinated intelligence could achieve, and in the hushed hum of cooling engines and drifting ships, the truth resonated across the void: when humans act with patience, courage, and intelligence, even the galaxy's most confident fleets must reckon with them. The following hours became a study in relentless precision and human ingenuity. The fleet moved as one organism, each ship anticipating the actions of its companions, reading the subtle shifts in space like a living map. Pilots and captains made instantaneous decisions, blending intuition, experience, and foresight into movements that seemed almost preordained. Every maneuver, every strike, every evasive twist was a testament to the unshakable intelligence and courage of those aboard. Enemy commanders, once smug and derisive, now scrambled to regain cohesion. Their formations wavered under the unexpected audacity of humans who refused to adhere to predictable patterns. Torpedoes streaked through the void, beams of energy cut arcs through the dark, and missiles found gaps in shields no algorithm had calculated. The humans adapted with astonishing speed, turning even minor disruptions into opportunities to strike decisively. Between volleys of fire, moments of quiet reflection passed over the decks of the fleet. Engineers recalibrated damaged systems under the stress of combat. Crews patched breaches with nimble precision, and tacticians adjusted strategies in real time, integrating every new variable. These quiet intervals were as crucial as the attacks themselves. They allowed the humans to act with clarity while the enemy floundered in confusion. The alien fleet's attempts at counteroffensive became increasingly desperate. Ships overextended, misfired, and collided with one another in the chaos of miscalculation. Their advanced technology, formidable though it was, could not withstand the combination of human creativity, coordination, and moral resolve. Every successful strike from the humans served as a reminder that intelligence and courage could surpass raw firepower. By the time distant stars began to glow against the nebula-streaked horizon, the alien forces were fractured and retreating. The human fleet, though battered, remained cohesive, a living demonstration of initiative and ingenuity. They had not merely survived, they had rewritten the expectations of those who had once mocked them, and as the void settled into an uneasy calm, the enduring truth became clear: when humanity chooses to act with unity, intelligence, and courage, even the most formidable fleets must bow to the force of resolve. As darkness fell across the expanse, the human fleet pressed its advantage with quiet, lethal efficiency. Each ship moved like a living extension of its crew. Engines humming with disciplined power, weapon systems calibrated to perfection. There was no recklessness, only deliberate, calculated action driven by instinct, experience, and the unshakable will to survive and prevail. The enemy, still reeling from the initial assaults, attempted to rally, but confusion and fear had fractured their command. Their formations were broken, signals delayed or misread, and every move became an opportunity for the humans to exploit. Torpedoes and energy beams arced through the void, striking with surgical precision, while human vessels wove through gaps in shields and defenses with effortless grace. Amid the chaos of battle, small moments of reflection punctuated the action. Crews patched engines and weaponry under fire, pilots adjusted trajectories in real time, and strategists calculated risk and reward faster than any computer could. Each of these quiet, exacting acts compounded into a force greater than the sum of its parts, a testament to the adaptability and intelligence of humanity. By the time the first hints of dawn brushed across distant nebulae, the alien fleet's attempts at resistance had crumbled. Ships burned or drifted disabled, communications fractured, and morale collapsed under the unrelenting pressure of human initiative. The human armada, though carrying its own scars of combat, remained unbroken, a symbol of what coordination, ingenuity, and moral resolve could achieve when wielded with skill. As the glow of emerging stars reflected across debris-strewn void, the human crews allowed themselves a brief moment of solemn triumph. They had not only defended themselves, they had demonstrated, with clarity and decisiveness, that intelligence and courage could overcome even the most formidable of foes. And across the void, one truth resonated through silent space: when humans act with resolve, ingenuity, and unity, the galaxy itself must take notice. By mid-morning, the human fleet had transformed from a collection of ships into a single, cohesive force of strategy and ingenuity. Every vessel moved with a rhythm born of experience. Every captain and crew anticipating the needs of their companions, reading shifts in the battlefield as though space itself were a living map. Action and reflection blended seamlessly, the pulse of combat intertwined with moments of measured decision-making that tipped the scales of war. The alien commanders, once confident in their numerical and technological superiority, found themselves outmatched not by strength alone, but by the human capacity to think, adapt, and act with fearless precision. Missiles and energy bursts that should have crippled the fleet were deftly countered, ships maneuvering through hazards with the kind of intuition only experience and courage could provide. Every engagement became a display of coordinated brilliance, where human initiative turned even the smallest advantage into victory. Between strikes, quiet moments allowed crews to maintain their edge. Engineers repaired damaged engines and weapon systems under pressure, pilots recalibrated their trajectories, and tacticians plotted the next moves with clarity born of urgency. These intervals, though brief, were critical. They allowed humans to act decisively while the enemy floundered, every choice weighted with foresight and moral resolve. By the afternoon, the alien forces were in full retreat, their formations fractured, their confidence shattered, their strategy in tatters. The human fleet, though scarred and fatigued, held cohesion, demonstrating that courage, intelligence, and coordination were weapons far more formidable than size or firepower alone. The vastness of space had borne witness to a truth the galaxy would not soon forget: humans, when united in skill and resolve, could defy any expectation, overturn any prediction, and alter the course of history itself. And as the fleet drifted through the void, engines quieting, stars reflected on the decks and hulls like a silent applause, one certainty remained: when humanity acts with ingenuity, courage, and unity, the universe must pay attention. As twilight descended across the nebula streaked horizon, the human fleet moved with deliberate purpose, each vessel a testament to skill, foresight, and unyielding resolve. Engines hummed softly, lights glinting across polished hulls, signaling not fear, but confidence tempered by experience. The crews, though weary, operated with the precision of a single organism, anticipating one another's movements and responding to challenges before they fully emerged. The alien forces, battered and disoriented, attempted one final counterattack, but the humans had already seized the initiative. Each strike, each maneuver, was executed with a clarity that defied expectation. Missiles arced through space in calculated paths, energy beams cut precise swaths across the void, and torpedoes found gaps no algorithm could have predicted. The human fleet's advantage was not simply in numbers or firepower, it was in intelligence, courage, and adaptability. between waves of engagement, moments of reflection carried profound weight. Engineers patched holes and recalibrated weaponry under the pressure of the ongoing battle. Pilots adjusted trajectories instinctively, while tacticians integrated new information into strategies at lightning speed. Every quiet act of maintenance or calculation amplified the effectiveness of the fleet as a whole, turning small efforts into decisive outcomes, by the time the first light of distant stars crept across the debris-strewn void. The alien fleet had collapsed entirely. Ships drifted disabled, formations dissolved, and morale had shattered beyond repair. The human armada, though marked by the trials of combat, remained whole, a living embodiment of ingenuity, determination, and moral clarity. Their victory was not only tactical, it was existential, a clear declaration that humans would not be underestimated. As the fleet drifted in silent triumph, engines cooling and crews surveying the aftermath, one enduring truth echoed across the stars: when humanity acts with unity, intelligence, and courage, even the most formidable forces must reckon with it. And so, the galaxy learned to respect the patience, ingenuity, and daring of humanity.